If this message is something you needed to hear, it's connected to the ideas in my book, Let Them Go. The book is about protecting your peace, releasing people who keep draining your energy, and learning how to stop chasing closure, approval, or understanding from the wrong people. You can find Let Them Go on Amazon by searching for Brandon Murray Books. Now let's get into today's message. Let them be wrong about you. There comes a point in life where you have to stop trying to correct every person who misunderstands you. You have to stop explaining yourself to people who already decided who you are. You have to stop chasing approval from people who are committed to seeing you in the worst possible light. Because some people are not confused about you. They are choosing to be wrong about you. And when someone wants to be wrong about you, no explanation will ever be enough. You can show them your heart. You can explain your intentions. You can give them the full story. You can try to clear up every misunderstanding. And somehow, they will still walk away believing whatever version of you they wanted to believe in the first place. That is why one of the strongest things you can learn is this. Let them be wrong about you. Let them misunderstand you. Let them think what they want. Let them repeat the story they need to repeat. Let them believe the version of you that makes them feel comfortable. And instead of spending your life trying to manage their opinion, put that energy back into yourself. This is one of the ideas behind my book, Let Them Go. Because sometimes letting people go does not mean you hate them. It does not mean you wish them harm. It does not even mean you never speak to them again. Sometimes it simply means you stop handing them control over your peace. And one of the biggest ways people control your peace is by making you feel like you have to constantly prove who you are. You know what you meant. You know what happened. You know what you have survived. You know what you have done when nobody was watching. You know the private battles you fought. You know how many times you kept going when you could have quit. And yet, there will still be people who look at you and choose the smallest, ugliest, most convenient version of the truth. They may call you selfish because you finally set a boundary. They may call you cold because you stopped over-explaining. They may call you arrogant because you started believing in yourself. They may call you fake because you changed. They may call you difficult because you stopped making yourself easy to use. And if you are not careful, you will spend years trying to prove to those people that you are not what they say you are. But here's the problem. The kind of person who is determined to misunderstand you is not looking for evidence. They are looking for confirmation. They are not studying your character. They are protecting their opinion. So even when you do something good, they will find a way to question your motive. If you stay quiet, they will say you are guilty. If you speak up, they will say you are defensive. If you succeed, they will say you got lucky. If you struggle, they will say they knew it would happen. If you move on, they will say you never cared. If you forgive, they will say you are weak. If you walk away, they will say you think you are better than everyone. That is why you cannot build your life around being understood by everyone. It is impossible. And more than that, it is exhausting. You were not placed on this earth to be constantly edited for other people's comfort. You were not meant to live like a public relations manager for your own existence, always checking how every move might be interpreted, always trying to soften every truth, always trying to make yourself acceptable to people who do not even want to accept you. At some point, you have to say, I know who I am. I know what I meant. I know what I am working on. I know what I am building. And I am not going to keep abandoning myself just to be approved by someone who has already made up their mind. Because that is what happens when you keep trying to prove yourself to the wrong people. You abandon yourself. You stop moving naturally. You start rehearsing conversations in your head. You start wondering how everything will look. You become afraid to make decisions because someone might judge them. You second-guess your growth because someone might mock it. You hide your confidence because someone might call it ego. You hide your sadness because someone might call it weakness. You hide your ambition because someone might say you think too much of yourself. Little by little, their opinion becomes a cage. And the cage does not even need walls. All it needs is your fear. The fear of being talked about. The fear of being judged. The fear of being misrepresented. The fear of being disliked. The fear of someone out there having the wrong idea about you. But here is something you eventually learn. People are going to have the wrong idea about you anyway. No matter how careful you are. No matter how kind you are. No matter how much you explain. No matter how much you give. No matter how many times you try to do the right thing. Someone will still misunderstand you. Someone will still criticize you. Someone will still take one piece of your life and pretend it explains the whole thing. Someone will still tell a version of the story where they are completely innocent and you are the problem. And once you accept that, you become free. Not because it stops hurting immediately. It may still hurt. It hurts when people misjudge your heart. It hurts when someone you cared about believes the worst about you. It hurts when people only remember your mistake, not your growth. It hurts when someone benefits from your kindness and then turns around and paints you like the villain. So letting them be wrong about you does not mean you feel nothing. It means you stop letting that pain control your decisions. It means you stop running back into chaos just to correct the record. It means you stop sacrificing your peace for people who are not interested in the truth. It means you realize that your life is too valuable to waste on an audience that is determined to boo no matter what you do. There are people who will never see you clearly because seeing you clearly would force them to see themselves clearly. If they admit you were kind, then they may have to admit they took advantage of you. If they admit you were patient, then they may have to admit they pushed you too far. If they admit you had a reason for walking away, then they may have to admit their behavior had consequences. If they admit you changed, then they may have to stop using the old version of you as an excuse to disrespect the new one. So instead of facing that, they keep the old story alive. They need you to be the problem. They need you to be selfish. They need you to be dramatic. They need you to be too sensitive. They need you to be ungrateful. They need you to be the one who changed for the worse. Because if you are the problem, they do not have to look at what they did. And that is why your explanations do not work with certain people. You are trying to give clarity to someone who benefits from confusion. You are trying to offer truth to someone who is more comfortable with their version. You are trying to bring peace to someone who still needs conflict in order to feel right. That does not mean you should never explain yourself. There are healthy relationships where explanation matters. There are people who genuinely want to understand. There are people who can hear you, reflect, apologize, grow, and meet you in the middle. Those people are worth communicating with. Those people are worth patience. Those people are worth honesty. But not everyone deserves unlimited access to your emotional energy. Some people do not want a conversation. They want a courtroom. They want you on trial. They want to cross-examine your boundaries, question your motives, twist your words, and make you defend your own pain. And if you keep showing up to that courtroom, they will keep putting you on trial. The only way to win is to stop appearing before the judge. Let them think what they think. Let them tell the story they tell. Let them sit with their opinion. You do not have to attend every argument you are invited to. You do not have to correct every lie. You do not have to explain every boundary. You do not have to respond to every accusation. You do not have to make your healing understandable to people who are comfortable with your suffering. Sometimes silence is not weakness. Sometimes silence is self-respect. Sometimes silence says, I no longer need your permission to know who I am. That is a powerful place to reach. Because when you stop needing everyone to understand you, you get your energy back. You start using your energy to build instead of defend. You start using your energy to heal instead of explain. You start using your energy to move forward instead of relitigating the past with people who are committed to misunderstanding it. And that energy matters. The energy you spend trying to convince one stubborn person could be used to improve your life. It could be used to get healthier. It could be used to work on your goals. It could be used to build something real. It could be used to strengthen the relationships that actually matter. It could be used to become more peaceful, more focused, more capable, and more confident. But when you are obsessed with being understood by the wrong people, your life gets pulled backward. You keep checking on what they think. You keep imagining what they are saying. You keep hoping one day they will finally admit they were wrong. You keep waiting for an apology that may never come. You keep wanting them to see your side when they have already shown you they do not want to. And meanwhile, your own life is waiting for you. Your future is waiting. Your work is waiting. Your peace is waiting. Your confidence is waiting. Your next chapter is waiting. But you cannot fully step into that next chapter if you are still standing in the old one, trying to convince old characters to read your lines correctly. Let them be wrong. Let them think you are the villain if that is what they need. Let them think you failed if they cannot see your progress. Let them think you are weak if they do not understand restraint. Let them think you are selfish if they benefited from you having no boundaries. Let them think you are quiet because you lost. You do not need to announce every victory. You do not need to explain every decision. You do not need to prove your growth to people who are committed to remembering you only as you were. Real growth is often quiet. It does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like not replying. Sometimes it looks like not checking. Sometimes it looks like not defending yourself. Sometimes it looks like letting someone be loud and wrong while you stay calm and free. And yes, your ego may hate that. Your ego wants the final word. Your ego wants them to know. Your ego wants everyone to understand how much you went through. Your ego wants the record corrected. Your ego wants justice in the form of recognition. And that is human. It is human to want people to know the truth. It is human to want your side heard. It is human to want someone to say, I get it now. I was wrong about you. But maturity is realizing you may never get that moment from certain people. You may never get the apology. You may never get the admission. You may never get the fair version of the story. You may never get the conversation where they finally understand. And your life still has to go on. Not bitter. Not broken. Not obsessed. Not waiting. Just free. Free to be misunderstood. Free to be disliked. Free to be underestimated. Free to be talked about. Free to become someone they did not expect. Free to stop shrinking yourself for people who only liked you when you were easier to control. Because sometimes the people who are wrong about you are not just wrong by accident. They are wrong because the truth would cost them something. The truth would cost them their pride. The truth would cost them their excuse. The truth would cost them the role they like playing. The truth would require them to admit that you were not the problem in the way they claimed. And not everyone is willing to pay that price. So stop waiting for people to be fair before you let yourself be free. You can move on without being understood. You can heal without being validated. You can grow without being praised. You can become better without getting permission from anyone who doubted you. You can let people be wrong and still live a right life. That is the part people forget. Their opinion of you is not your identity. Their misunderstanding is not your assignment. Their gossip is not your truth. Their judgment is not your sentence. They can be wrong about you, and you can still be okay. They can misread you, and you can still keep going. They can underestimate you, and you can still build something meaningful. They can think you are finished, and you can quietly become stronger than you have ever been. And sometimes that is the best response. Not an argument. Not a long message. Not a post defending yourself. Not a desperate attempt to make everyone understand. Just a better life. A calmer mind. A stronger character. A quieter confidence. A future that proves you were never what they said you were. But even then, do not build your life just to prove people wrong. That can become another trap. If your whole life is built around proving people wrong, they are still at the center of it. Build because you want to build. Heal because you deserve peace. Grow because you are capable of more. Walk away because your soul needs room to breathe. Succeed because your life matters, not because someone doubted it. The goal is not to make them regret misjudging you. The goal is to stop needing them to judge you correctly. That is freedom. When you no longer need the people who misunderstood you to rewrite the story. When you no longer need them to clap. When you no longer need them to admit what they did. When you no longer need them to see your value before you can live from it. That is when you become dangerous in the best way. Not dangerous because you are angry. Dangerous because you are no longer easy to control. A person who does not need constant approval is hard to manipulate. A person who can be misunderstood and still stay steady is hard to break. A person who can let others be wrong and keep moving is hard to stop. Because most control comes from making you afraid. Afraid of being judged. Afraid of being excluded. Afraid of being called selfish. Afraid of being seen as the bad guy. Afraid of losing the image you tried so hard to maintain. But when you can say, think what you want, and actually mean it, you take that power back. You stop living for the courtroom. You stop performing for the crowd. You stop begging people to see your heart. You start protecting it instead. And protecting your heart does not mean becoming cold. It means becoming wise. It means you still care, but you care with boundaries. It means you still love, but you do not lose yourself. It means you still listen, but you do not let every opinion define you. It means you still explain when explanation is healthy, but you do not explain endlessly to people who are committed to misunderstanding. There is a difference between being open and being available for emotional punishment. There is a difference between humility and self-abandonment. There is a difference between caring what people think and letting their thoughts run your life. You are allowed to care, but you are also allowed to stop carrying things that do not belong to you. Someone else's false opinion of you does not belong to you. Someone else's limited understanding does not belong to you. Someone else's need to make you the villain does not belong to you. Someone else's refusal to see your growth does not belong to you. Let them carry it. Let them believe it. Let them talk. Let them be wrong. And while they are busy being wrong, you be busy becoming whole. You be busy building peace. You be busy doing the work. You be busy strengthening your mind. You be busy improving your habits. You be busy creating a life that does not require their approval to feel real. Because one day, you may look back and realize the biggest mistake was not that they misunderstood you. The biggest mistake was that you paused your own life trying to fix their misunderstanding. Do not pause your life for that anymore. Do not make your peace dependent on people who are not peaceful. Do not make your self-worth dependent on people who cannot see clearly. Do not make your future wait until everyone from your past agrees with it. Some people will never understand your boundaries. Set them anyway. Some people will never understand your healing. Heal anyway. Some people will never understand your ambition. Build anyway. Some people will never understand why you had to walk away. Walk anyway. Some people will always be wrong about you. Live anyway. That is the quiet power of letting go. Not proving. Not chasing. Not explaining forever. Just releasing the need to be understood by people who are not committed to understanding you. So today, give yourself permission. Permission to stop defending your heart to people who mishandled it. Permission to stop correcting every rumor. Permission to stop reopening wounds just to provide evidence. Permission to stop making your life smaller so other people can feel right. Permission to be misunderstood and still be at peace. Because you know who you are. And the people who truly love you will make the effort to know who you are too. Everyone else can have their opinion. They can have their story. They can have their version. But they do not get to have your peace. If this message spoke to you, this is exactly the kind of emotional freedom I talk about in Let Them Go. Because letting go is not always about cutting people off. Sometimes it is about cutting off the need to be approved, understood, or validated by people who keep draining your energy. Let them be wrong about you. Let them misunderstand. Let them talk. Let them think whatever they need to think. And then take a deep breath, turn back toward your own life, and keep going. Because your peace is worth more than their opinion. Your future is worth more than their misunderstanding. And your life is too important to spend it trying to convince the wrong people that you are worth seeing clearly. Thanks for watching. Remember to pick up Let Them Go on Amazon in Kindle ebook or paperback, or just search for Brandon Murray Books. And don't forget, your peace is worth more than their opinion.